This video is all about CAD. You may want to export this 3D model so that you can take it to your favorite CAD program and model the enclosure. Maybe you need to make sure that the physical terminals are in the correct spot. Maybe you need to model the hole for the LEDs to go through, or indeed the potentiometer controls. It's really useful having accurate CAD here so that you can then integrate your project into the larger project. So this video is going to be split into two parts. The first part, we're going to find and import the missing model for our potentiometer, because that's a real physical part that we might need to model into an enclosure. And the second part will be exporting this whole 3D model into some CAD software so that you can perform that action, so that you can model the enclosure around it, for example. In the PCB editor, you can select any footprint and strike E to find the properties. And there are three tabs. There's the general tab, there's some like metadata clearance tabs, and then there's the 3D model. And so we can see the 3D model for the DIP8 package is being invoked. Here we have the installation directory, and there's just a DIP8 package that comes packaged with KiCAD. When we look at the potentiometer, however, we can see that that file does not exist. KiCAD has provisioned the file path for a file that doesn't yet exist, and I'm not really sure why that is. Maybe when they do include that CAD at some point, they'll know exactly what to name it and where to put it, and the models will just appear. But for now, we're going to have to go hunting for an appropriate step file to link to this footprint. Again, it's always good to start with where you're going to buy the part. In this case, we can scroll down to the resources on DigiKey, and it doesn't look like there's any CAD available. There often is though, so it's a great place to start. But I'm just going to take that device family and search Bourne's CAD. So Bourne's device CAD. And one of the top results is GrabCAD, which is a really great resource for this kind of thing. And you can see we have a beautiful result here. That looks wonderful. And it looks like there's a few variants as well. In any case, download the files. I've downloaded those files and picked out the correct potentiometer. So in the 3D model view, I can open from a directory. And this tree is different in KiCAD for some reason. It can be a little bit overwhelming, but I'm just going to create a new entry and then take my file name and just paste that in, because it will look under the project directory by default. I strike tab and there's my model, and you can see things are a little bit scuffed, and this is pretty common. So we're going to have to position this using the offset tool. So I'll offset that over and maybe apply some Z rotation. You get the picture. Once we have that nice and lined up, we can click OK, strike Alt-3 to go back to our 3D view, and there we have the model of the potentiometer. And of course, we went online looking for something, and so there will be slight variances. For example, this potentiometer shaft might be a different length to the one that I'm buying, but this is a 3D model. You ought to be able to edit it and extend that if you really wanted to. Now it's time to export to our favorite 3D software. I'm going to place a drill and place origin. So that's this tool down the bottom here. And I'll place that just in one of the mounting holes. This can be because sometimes exporting and importing 3D models gets kind of weird, and I found that this can be a pretty reliable way to do it. So place that origin. That's basically the 0, for the 3D model. It's what it's going to rotate around. Go to File, Export, and we're going to export a step file for now. I'm just going to export it to some directory, and I'm going to use the drill/place file origin. We could use a few other options, but I found this is reliable for right now. I'll export that, and while that's exporting, I'll run everyone's favorite 3D modeling software. I've opened Creo, I've filtered for step files, and I've found my file, so I'll click Import, and this I'll import as an assembly. Why not? Your mileage may vary. And so there you have it. We were able to import CAD from online to using KiCAD, and we were able to export a file to be used in 3D modeling. I imported this as an assembly. You may have better luck just baking it as a single part, but in any case, this is now ready for anything you want to do with it, like 3D modeling for enclosures or printing a test fit kind of resin print that you can hold or offer up into some enclosure. and make sure everything lines up. Best of luck.